Hello there, and welcome back to the Music Career Show. So today, my guest is one of Ireland's finest and most well-respected guitarists. In his over 20-year career, he has worked with tribute acts, pop acts, original bands, musicals, and everything in between. And he is currently the lead guitarist of one of the top wedding bands in Ireland called Blue Moose. So this is Mr. Philip Joyce. Well, Phil, how are you getting on?
Good, Barry. Thanks for having me here. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, it's an
Looking
absolute
forward to the
pleasure to
chat.
have you. Like I said before we started recording, I've known who you are since I was learning how to play. And anybody that's worth their salt in Ireland at the moment that doesn't know who Philip Joyce is needs to get their finger out and go and sort themselves out. So, but just in case there are some lads that are living under a stone and don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself to them and tell them who you are and what it is that you do?
Sure. Well, I'm Philip Joyce, as you said. Guitar player currently with Blue Moose. I have been with Blue Moose now for 16 years. Coming on 17 years soon. I sing as well. Do quite a bit of the lead singing in the band, and I've always sang in bands. That's probably kind of my first instrument is singing, really. I mean, I don't know. Do you want a sort of backstory of how I got to where I am now, or do we're going to get to that as we go
We're
along?
100%. That is my next question. So usually I'll get people to say hello and introduce themselves, and then I'll reverse back and I'll say, where did it all start? So by
Sure.
all means, carry on.
Yeah, well, sure. I suppose I might as well. I'll skip on for you, and
Go for it.
I'll give you the quick kind of bird's eye view of how I got to where I am now.
Let's do it.
So, my parents both national school teachers, but my mother was in a group when she was a child called the Lindsay Singers. They were a choir, big choir in Dublin. So she's always
Okay.
been really like heavily involved in music. She also used to do a lot of musicals. So music was something that she was very focused on. Us all kids having. I have three younger brothers. We were all sent for piano lessons. I then also did violin lessons. One of my younger brothers plays the saxophone and the clarinet, and we all played. And then
Yeah.
as we got older, and it was kind of coming up to teenage years, I was asked, do I want to what instrument would I really like to play next after I've been playing piano and violin? And I was like, well, I really want to play the drums because my neighbors, my best friend from school, his whole family were all musicians. They all played in like Cayley bands and show bands and that kind of thing. So they had
Class.
instruments up in their house all the time. We used to go up at the weekends, be playing their electric guitars and playing on the drum kit. And I wanted to be a drummer. I was like, drums is for me.
Yeah.
And
Sound.
my parents basically went, no, not happening. No way. It's like drums
Yeah.
are too big, they're too noisy, they're too expensive. But we know you like rock music, so we'll get you an electric guitar if you'd be okay with that. So I was like, fine, I'll take a
Suppose.
guitar. I
Uh,
guess. Yeah, I really were like I was kind of devastated to be honest, but
yeah.
so they got me electric guitar for my 14th birthday, and I started taking lessons with a guy in Galway City, a guy called Declan Collins, who's still teaching and still playing, and he's an amazing guitar player. And he exposed me to an awful lot of music that I probably wouldn't have heard otherwise, and guitar players and people like Joe Satriani and Steve Vai and Paul Gilbert and Steve Morse and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, of course, from my friend's older brother, he was big into prog rock, Rush, and Dream Theater, and that kind of thing. So I got that from one side, and my friend's brother had a great music collection. So I kind of just started to find what I was interested in and what my tastes were, and
Yeah.
kind of got more into the more heavy side of stuff. Like I love Sepultura and Pantera and Metallica and
Class.
Slayer and all that kind of stuff. So that was my taste, and my guitar teacher was showing me all this cool guitar stuff. And like I said, my friend's older brother was of the prog side. So I was just really got such an education in a kind of short couple of years of like amazing variety of guitar music. So
Yeah.
I kind of just got obsessed with playing guitar and spent every evening playing. Um, we formed a little band then in school and started doing a few gigs around, and that kind of gave me the bug for playing live. Our first
Yeah.
ever gig actually was in our secondary school. We were raising money for the Debs Ball, so that we put on a kind of a talent show concert, we'll call it. But we were the
Uh-huh.
headline act, our band. We were all 16, 17, and 600 people in the sports hall in the school, all rocking out to whatever we were playing. And I was like, this is
Class.
it. This is for me. I love this. So
Yeah.
loved the performance side of it. All along through, also like my mom still involved in choirs and musicals. Like we would sing in the choir at Christmas for her because she would take the local choir. She was teaching the National Children's Choir in her school, so there was
Yeah.
always loads of different music going on in the house. And But funny enough, that was never something that my parents thought could be a career. So they were, all along it was like, now, you have to pick your college course and all that kind of thing. And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
uh, I was just like, I just want to play music. That's all I want to do. And they were
yeah,
like, oh, you need something to fall back on. So you have to go and, do the sensible thing and get a degree and all that kind of thing.
yeah.
So, went to
Did you get a
college.
degree?
I did not. I did not. I did 2 years of a general science course in NUIG and left after the second year. I actually wanted to leave after the first year because I was just had no interest. I just wanted to. So here's the other kind of here's the rub with college, because it was like I was going to college supposed to be studying science, but
Yeah.
every night, of course, with college, as I'm sure you remember, there's always events on and there's gigs on, and
Oh, yeah.
I was now
Especially in Galway.
yeah, I was in Galway City, and I was going
Yeah.
to see the likes of. It's funny that Rory Gallagher was on before, because I was going to see the Revs play and Relic
Class.
and bands like Turn and Bell X1 when they were only kind of starting out, and I would see all these bands playing in Galway. And of course, Galway has its own great had its own great supply of cover bands. So I was
Yeah.
just going out to see gigs every night of the week and kind of going, that's what I want to be doing. I want to be up
Yeah.
there on stage. I mean, and I in a sort of arrogant way too. I was like, I could be doing what they're doing. I know I'm good enough to play, and so
Yeah.
like more and more as it went on, I was just like, college is not for me. The studying thing, not interested.
Yeah.
I want to be in a band. I want to be playing music for a living. So I actually answered like a classified ad in the Galway Advertiser of a band
Wow.
forming, looking for a guitar player. Because
Yeah.
my school band had kind of, we'd broken up. Obviously, everyone went off in different directions, and we had our
Yeah.
finale gig at the end of the summer, and that was it. Like, that band was done. So I wasn't playing at all for that like year of college. And so during second year, I answered that ad, met some lads, formed a band in Galway. Then we started gigging around Galway, and then I was like, so I was kind of going, well, I have this band now, kind of simmering away. But the band was called Cradle Jack,
Aye.
and we started getting gigs in Galway City, playing in the pubs, making a few quid.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can do this. There's loads of other bands doing this, so why can't I? And so that kind of got me into the full time of playing. And then uh, obviously did a little bit of teaching and to subsidize that when normally wasn't enough gigs. And eventually then randomly one night on a gig in the Roisin Dove. Now, sorry, stop me if you want me to slow down or
No,
elaborate, or
carry
if
on.
you have
I'm
a
loving
question.
this. I remember the Roisin Dove very well. I remember remembering the Roisin Dove very, very well.
Uh, well, so I was playing a gig one night, and this guy just randomly came up to me after the gig, and he pulled me aside from the band. He goes, "Listen, would you be on for doing a run of gigs at Christmas? They're Christmas party gigs. I'm not going to tell you any more about it." He's like, "It was good money. They'll be in Cork. It's going to be like, the way he sold it was going to be like a month of gigs, but it ended up being
Yeah.
less than that." But he was like, "It's a it's a party band. It's for Christmas parties. I'm not going to tell you anymore. Just tell me if you're interested." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, sure. Why not? Sounds
And
like
yeah,
fun."
yeah.
And I'd already kind of been thinking about getting out of Galway, because with Galway at the time, there was very much a ceiling. It was like, once you were playing in the King's Head and Cuba and all those other places in the Russian Dove,
Yeah.
kind of it. Like, that's kind of the next thing, is to either join an original band and try and conquer the world that way, or you just kind of, that's your level now. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
We kind of got we'd gotten that far pretty quick
Yeah.
within like 2 years, and I was like, well, I started to get that kind of itch for the next thing. Uh,
Yeah.
so I did these gigs with this guy. It turned out to be a Bee Gees tribute band. This is what I was
Love it.
not expecting that, but actually I love the Bee Gees music. I was like, this
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like it could be great fun. And it was all costumes. It was kind of pantomime, We
Yeah.
dressed up, painted our teeth with like this kind of Tipex stuff so they glow under the lights. Like, it was all real spoofy stuff. It was fun though.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I was like, this is great fun. So this is another kind of thing that you can do within music in Ireland. So I was like, I enjoyed that. And then through them, I got an offer to join a band up in Dublin called the Glitterbugs,
Okay.
who are still going. They're, again,
I was gonna
another.
say, that name rings a bell with me, all right.
Yeah, they're going a long time. I mean, they're going. They originally were called Glamtastic 2000. They were formed like in around 2000,
Mm,
the millennium, and they were a 70s kind of glam rock tribute band. But
cool.
then they kind of got little bit less niche and a little bit more just party band. But they still had all the costumes and wigs and platform boots and fire with like pyrotechnics and all that kind of thing. So I got offered to join. Their guitar player at the time he was an American guy. Shout out Widgeon. Widgeon Holland was his name. He who was
Cool.
living in Ireland, but he had to go back to the States, I think, to you know tidy up some personal things.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Widgeon's going back to America for 3 months. Would you come up?" and basically fill in for him for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, it's a reason to get up to Dublin, get my foot in the door, start meeting some people, and sure I'll pick up another gig or some other gigs along the way. So I
Yeah.
did that. I moved to Dublin, and then through people I knew were like, "Oh, you're coming to Dublin? Great! Actually, this band need a guitar player. Would you be interested in going and jamming with them?" So within the first, like, this is hilarious. It was like within the first month of moving to Dublin, I was playing in 6 different bands.
Oh, Jesus.
And I had to like sort of go, sorry lads, I can't do this one, because I was gigging with the Glitterbugs and I was like, we're going to be looking for the same gigs and I kind of can't do both, so I'm sorry. And I
Yeah.
bowed out. I was playing an original band as well, and a couple of different other things, and so it was mad. It was great, and I was like, this is it now. I'm up in Dublin, loads of stuff going on. Hit the big time. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my big break here now.
Yeah.
The Backstreet Boys tour manager is going to be in a pub some night, when they're on tour, and he's going to be like, we need a guitar player for the next tour, and
Yeah.
you're the man for us. That's what I was kind of hoping would happen.
Yeah.
And didn't quite work that way, but like it was great. And I was playing with the Glitterbugs, and I was playing with this other band called White Chocolate, doing like a weekly residency in Temple Bar. And then I also, through one of the lads with that band, got involved with a guy called Malachy Kush, who was on the original Fame Academy.
Oh, cool.
This is where kind of the pop singer thing starts. So he
Yeah.
was based up the north, and they were looking for a guitar player. He had like after he'd come off the show, all this hype around him, people loved him. They had a run of gigs they wanted to do, and they needed to kind of put a band together around him. So I got involved in that. So did a load of kind of theatre gigs, played in the Waterfront in Belfast, and like really
Class.
nice gigs up the north doing that. And that was much more the kind of the theatre show, real slick, nice music, and very different to what I've been doing with anything else.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that was kind of again, it was like really nice to get involved in something that was a different avenue,
Yeah.
and a lot more acoustic, which I never really did much of at that point. And so that kind of went along, and then I yeah, while I was in Dublin, I also got involved with this is the rap rock band, a band called Jacuzzi Jungle, a guy called
Savage.
Paddy Usher. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
the States then, we went to the state. We were he was looking for a record deal, and we had arranged like this kind of industry gig thing where we play over in New Jersey, and like record label heads would come and watch the gig and hopefully sign us and all that kind of thing. So, did things like that. But again, weirdly, like that didn't really work out because the lads in the band were all working day jobs. The original thing was their passion, but like me and the drummer at the time, shout out to Shane Atlas if he's listening. Shane and myself, we were we were pros. We were playing full time for our living.
Yeah.
So, the lads would come to us and go, "We got a great gig on Saturday night supporting someone in Eamon Doran's." And we were like, "Okay, well, we already have gigs in,
Yeah.
and have had gigs in for months." And he's like, "What's the pay?" And he's like, "Oh no, it's no money. It's just we'll get a few beers, and like, but we get to support this band." I'm like, "Honey, we can't do this. We're this is our
Yeah.
job. Like, we have to be
Yeah.
getting paid to be playing these gigs, otherwise we can't do them." But the
That would
Wednesday or
exposure.
something,
Yeah, that would
Wednesday
exposure
night,
vouchers
like
coming into play.
yeah, if it's a Wednesday, a quiet night or something like, and we can get like we don't have anything else in, sure, but like you can't be expecting us to give up our Saturday nights, which are our prime earning nights.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
won't play for free. So unfortunately, that then didn't work out. So that left that band, and around that time, I think I had gotten to know the lads in Blue Moose a little bit. They used to play in Galway when I was in college, so I knew who they were.
Yeah.
Um, I knew who they were, and their guitar player was leaving, and they came to me kind of on the sly and said,
Yeah.
"Our guitar player is leaving. Would you be interested?" And I was like, I'd kind of had enough of the wigs and the makeup thing for I'd done that for like 3 years, 3 or 4 years, and
Yeah.
I was kind of ready for a move, and so I was like, yeah. And they were similar age to me, whereas the lads in the other band were all a bit older.
Yeah.
This was going to be playing in colleges and more my own like peers, we'll say, peer group.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, cool, yeah, I'm up for it. So that's I joined Blue Moose. That was back in 2006, and I've been there. I've been in that band now ever since, and
And
we've kind of changed and grown as the years have gone by. So that's
so
kind of gets us up to roughly modern day times.
modern day, I love it. Jez, you've given me so much there to unpick. That's fantastic.
Great, okay.
That
No,
I've been taking notes. I've been taking notes because I'm like, yeah, perfect. That's great. That's great. I'm going to ask that. I'm going to ask that. That is that's some I hate the word journey. I fucking hate using the word journey. But that's some journey, so it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
when you're, when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel like a journey. But when you kind of start going back and like kind of going, Jesus, a lot happened there. It's kind of,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you take for granted things that before you did it would have been a huge thing, and then when you look back on it, like you getting to hit like what like you said there. Once you kind of got to the highest you could be, you hit the ceiling in Galway. 2 years before, that would have been like that's your Everest, and now
oh
all
yeah,
of a sudden you're there. And looking back on it, you're kind of like, oh, geez, it was a bit of, like what was why was I putting that on such a pedestal? Like, do you know what I mean?
of course, yeah.
But yeah, so let's pick through some of those bits and
Okay,
bobs first. I'm going to rewind way back, and you had said there where you started off on your sort of first instrument was singing,
yeah.
and you sort of done bits and pieces of piano and violin before you actually decided that you wanted to become a drummer and got a guitar. So in terms of like your learning, did you teach yourself? Well, no. Obviously, I know you said you got lessons and stuff for like violin and piano and all that kind of jazz. But when it came to guitar, did you teach yourself? Did you go for lessons? How did that come about?
Yeah, no, well, I've been obviously, like you said, been sent for piano lessons, sent for violin lessons, and keyboard lessons, like pop keyboard lessons as well. And
Cool.
so we were very much in my family's very much in the you learn an instrument, you go for lessons.
Yeah.
So I got a teacher in Galway. I used to go into him every Thursday night, into his like teaching room, and
Yeah.
did a half hour every Thursday for pretty much all of secondary school, or at least 4 years of secondary school. So
All
I did
right.
lessons with him, but he gave me such an amount of stuff in that 4 years. Like I think I was kind of struggling to digest it as it was going along. Like obviously, I kind of guitar kind of came easy, which is a I hope doesn't piss anybody off when they're listening to this.
No, I know what you mean.
Guitar's not
Yeah.
easy at all. I was like, it just
No.
kind of came easy to me because I think I was just so kind of got really obsessed with it really quickly.
Mm.
And having have been playing violin, I had that finger dexterity of like playing on a fretboard, like, or a fingerboard.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a huge leap from violin to go to guitar. It was actually easier, if anything, because it's bigger, it has frets, it's in tune. Once it's in tune, like you put your finger where it's supposed to be,
Grand.
that's in tune.
Yeah.
Violin is horrific if you're not good at it.
Yep. Oh,
It
I'm exactly the same. I'm a guitar player first and foremost, but I play mandolin and banjo and all those. And like mandolin and violin, they're the same
Yeah, the same
on the
tuning, yeah.
left hand. Same tuning. So I can do the left hand pretty much no bother ish. Intonation wise, it's a bit ropey.
Yeah.
But the whole bowing thing, oh stop.
It's a very torturous instrument to try and
It
learn
is.
as a child. And you're
Yeah.
you're there and you're like, and it's squeaking in your ear, and you're just like, "This is horrible.
Yeah. Your
Why would
shoulders
anyone do this?"
falling off you.
Really,
You're
I have massive respect for violinists because it's like you have to be like really, really good to make it sound just okay.
yeah,
So it's
100%.
it's like it's a tough one as a kid. So I was delighted to move from away from that, and guitar kind of, like I said, kind of came easy to me a little bit because of the that experience of playing violin.
Yeah.
And
I love it.
I loved guitar music. I love, like, my dad was big like 70s rock, and like Dire Straits and Chris Rea was always on in the house or in the car. Queen, of course, they were both
Yeah.
my parents were big Queen fans. Like dad had loads of like Cream records and Hendrix and Deep Purple, and so I very much
Class.
listened to a lot of that kind of guitar music as a kid. But then when I got
Yeah.
to kind of develop my own tastes, I loved Nirvana and Green Day. I was a massive Green Day fan as a teenager. I
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
wanted to be Billy Joel. I was just like,
Yeah.
he's the coolest man in the world. I was
Yeah.
like, I put stickers all over my Squire Strat, just like trying to be like him. I was just such a
Savage.
fanboy.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just kind of I really soaked up a lot of guitar very quickly in that 4 years. So I got I'd almost say I got to like the level of proficiency technically within like that 3 or 4 years. Like, so, I often
Yeah.
think back to like the stuff I could play when I was a teenager, kind of going, I don't think I can play that anymore. It's mad. Like,
I'm exactly the same. I always thought I hit my peak when I was about 16, 17. And nowadays, I was just before we came on, I was trying to go back and relearn Black Betty. And that opening thing, I was like, fucking hell, that's it. That's so I was like, how the fuck did I play this as a kid?
I know, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
had no bother playing it as a kid. Same as yourself. And I know totally what you're saying. I don't think you're going to piss off anyone by saying the guitar came easy to you. It's not that you found guitar easy. It was just you didn't have, or the way I see it is that you didn't have to put as much effort in because you were enjoying it.
Yeah.
Someone that isn't enjoying it as much, they have to put more effort in to get the same out. Whereas you're
100%.
enjoying
Yeah.
it, it doesn't
That
seem like effort or stress.
And you know what? That rings true basically with everything in life, which I found out as I got older. If you like
Yeah,
something, you'll put in the time and you'll enjoy the process. Whereas if something's a slog, it's just you want to be doing anything but. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that was the way school and college was for me. I was just like, I just wanted to be doing anything else. I hated it so
Yeah,
much.
I would say same here. I did sound engineering in college, and even at that, I was like same as you. I done it. That was my fallback. And I
You were
was
allowed to be sound engineer, which is great because I wanted to do that. And my career guidance teacher or counselor basically said, no, 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 that's nonsense. Don't be taking that's you can't be doing that. Like,
oh
he
really?
basically completely poo-pooed the idea of I was like, "Well, I love music. Could I not go and do, like, a sound engineering course and learn to record and that
Yeah.
kind of thing?" And they were like, "No, no, no, no. You need to
No, no, no.
you need a
Sure that,
proper you need a proper
yeah,
career."
yeah. Should let me know what you use to. Sure, where are you going to use that?
I know.
But yeah,
Now it would be the most useful thing in the world to me to
yeah.
have sound
Well,
engineering training.
well, to be fair, I done sound engineering in Pulse 13 years ago now at this stage in 2000 between 2010 and 2012, and I've never used it as much as when I started doing the podcast. That was the first time in like
Oh, that's
10
funny.
years that it really actually stood to me. And what stood to me more than anything else, that anything that I actually learned was the workflows. They taught you how to like even things like how to save different files and how to name files so that you don't
So
lose
they're
them.
easy to find later on and all kind of thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
stupid things like that have nothing to do with sound engineering, but that
Yeah.
are just really, really good workflows for
Yeah.
life. So,
They're just good,
um,
yeah, which otherwise they're just things you kind of eventually figure out yourself after years of doing it wrong.
exactly, yeah, not being able to find anything,
Like,
yeah.
ah.
But so how did it pan out then when you were doing your general degree in science? That to me says that there was probably more chemistry done than anything else with like mixing drinks and having the crack and all
Funny
that kind
enough
of crack.
Funny enough, I didn't drink at all, in college, which is another, I think, part why I didn't enjoy the whole college experience. I didn't drink. No, I was a teetotaler till I was 25.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, that's a whole other podcast probably.
It
Um,
is. No
but
wonder no wonder you never stuck it out in Galway. Sure, Jesus, you only done a half hours.
yeah, yeah, I know, that's probably a big part of it. I was like, "I don't get why people stay here for 50 years." I was like, "It's grand and all," but, like, I wasn't I mean, I used to go to house parties and hang out and be with people, and I spent as much time, in the, on the in the lock-ins in places in Galway there we probably shouldn't have been, but I just
Yeah,
drink at the time, so it took me, yeah, it was years later I started drinking, but, and people talk about here's a funny little story, uh, back then, like, this was kinda 2001 and 2002 was, I was starting the band, and I knew nothing about kind of, stage presence, and I just thought, "I'll wear some cool clothes." Cool, what to me.
uh,
So I was like,
yeah,
I used to wear, like, a shirt and maybe a funny tie, I had my baggy jeans because it was the early 2000s and my new rock boots or whatever happened to be.
yeah,
And because I didn't drink, somebody who I know who they were, but, like, I won't call them out on it, but they thought it would be funny to spread a rumor that I was a born again Christian, and that's why I wore the shirt and tie all the time. And because I didn't drink. So,
jeez,
there was this rumor going around Galway that I was a born again Christian. She's like, you know that guitar player in that band, you know the way he wears a shooting sound, he doesn't ever drink. He's a
uh,
born again Christian. And it took a long time for it actually just to finally get back to me. And I was like, what? No, I'm not. Yeah, that was a funny one. But yeah, I kind of maybe missed a part of the appeal of Galway in a way. Like, but like I said,
yeah,
when I went to college and I joined all the different societies as you do. And I remember joining the debating society and I was like, well, I like to talk, so this might be fun. And
yeah,
of course, we went to the first meeting and it was like, right, does anybody have anything they want to talk about? And everyone's kind of went, nah, no. It's like, okay, cool. We got a keg down in the Red Square. We're gonna go down. It was like, what? So this is just an excuse to get a free keg off a bar and all go down to the pub after the meeting. I was like, this is nonsense. So that kind of sullied my whole college vibe as well because I was like, this is just an excuse to go drinking.
yeah. Ah, oh well. Maybe you could go back as a mature student and do science, and
Possibly, yeah.
then
I never
and
know.
yeah, Galway is always whenever I because I for anyone listening that doesn't know yet, after however many episodes this is going to be, I live in Scotland, and whenever anyone speaks to me, it's like, oh, I'm going to Dublin, I'm going to Belfast. Oh, great, yeah, I've been to Dublin and Belfast. Where else should I go? I always tell people to go to Galway. I tell people to go to Galway before Dublin or Belfast because it is the best crack you're
Look, I
ever
mean,
going to have.
I really appreciate the place now as an older person or older person. It makes you sound like an old person.
Honestly.
As I've gotten
Yeah.
older, like it's a great city. It's got a cool vibe. It kind of died off a little bit during the sort of the recession era, and like when I was starting playing in bands, like you could play if you were in a band, you could play 7 nights a week.
Yeah.
I even knew bands that were playing 9 gigs a week because they would have like like a 7 o'clock gig and then a 10 o'clock or an 11 o'clock gig that night. Like there was so many gigs for bands, and unfortunately, around the time that I left, the pubs were starting to pull their budgets back, and they didn't want to pay bands, on Tuesdays and Mondays.
Yeah.
They're putting
Yeah.
in a lot more two pieces and DJs, and I was kind of going, I see where this is going, and
Yeah.
I want to get out before it happens. So unfortunately, kind of it did kill a little bit of the vibe of Galway. It's a pity you wouldn't have seen it back then, because it was just, you could walk into a pub on a Monday night and there'd be a full on 5-piece band playing, and it was,
Unreal.
you could do that in 4 or 5 different places like on a
Yeah.
Monday. It was amazing.
Unreal.
So it's
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Galway, even though, I am from here and I'm somewhat biased. Well, I'm not from Galway City. I'm from just outside Athenry.
Oh, grand.
So I'm kind of a tourist, but kind of not. I kind of
Kind of not.
It's my
Yeah. Yeah.
local big town, we'll say.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, the recession did seem to be the birth of the stomp box and the single
Yeah,
acoustic
yeah,
guitar
big
player,
time.
didn't it?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah,
And
I reckon
I
a
think
lot
we're
of
still
it.
kind of in that, like this, like most places now that have music. I think 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a 2-piece or a one-man
It's
acoustic act.
me.
That's you, is it?
That's me. That is me. I play. I do a one man acoustic act with me foot drums or my stomp box, or I play mandolin in a band with
Okay,
another fella.
cool.
And that's it. Yeah, we done great out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it does mean that an awful lot of bigger bands. I don't know of many places in Aberdeen that I could go to actually see a full on band, which is
Yeah.
sad. Which
There's
is
not as
sad.
many here either as there used to be. Like, there used to be so many gigs, so many venues. Like, when I started playing with Blue Moose, like, all over the country, and 90% of them are gone now. They don't do band gigs anymore, which is sad.
Yeah, it is sad, but sure. Hey ho, hey ho. You don't seem to be struggling too
Well,
much
we
anyway.
just
So
well, we'll get onto this, I'm sure, but we kind of we got sort of pushed in a different direction. So, um,
yeah. Well, let's talk about that then, because obviously
yeah,
that is sort of poignant nowadays, because now there's all things float like there's terms getting floated around like cost of living crisis. You've all this shite still going on in Ukraine. We're just out of the pandemic. The whole world is still fairly semi fucked. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we're still in very rocky waters. So how did that then push you in a different direction? What sort of direction did you get pushed in? This is
well,
Blue
okay.
Moose
So
now.
I wind back to when I joined Blue Moose, very much a college band, playing college nights, Tuesday nights down in Waterford and places like that, and Galway and wherever else, and doing the odd college ball and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And we also used to do a good lot of like secondary school debs gigs, high school graduation ball type things,
There you go, yeah.
dinner dance stuff. But we were the band, like we weren't doing dinner dance music at the time. We were doing our pop rock um
Yeah.
stuff that for the kids that they were into.
Yeah.
Kids, they were only a couple of years younger enough, but they were kids.
They were
Um,
kids.
but then as the years went on, like we very much, that's what we were doing. Venues at the weekends and the odd college ball or something like that every now and again, or maybe we get booked for a dinner dance every now and again. Wouldn't be that common. But then as the people that got into us when they were coming out of secondary school and into college, they started to get to the age of getting married, and they would like you'd get a couple going, "Yous played our Debs ball back in whenever it was 2004.
Do you remember?
We're getting married now, and we'd love ye to play at the wedding." And we're kind of going, "We're not really a wedding band, but sure, yeah, why not?" So
Yeah.
that's how we started doing weddings. We didn't go looking for them at all. They came to us.
Right.
Because like my vision of a wedding band was always from when I was a kid. It was like a couple of the local lads that the local hotel knew. Well, we've a wedding here on Saturday night, lads. And we need you to play, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Grand." They all probably had jobs or else played in like little 2-piece bands or maybe whatever it happened to be. And so
Yeah.
like that was what wedding bands were to me. They were kind of put together to play a wedding. They played absolute raw-ish stuff that
Mhm.
I would hate.
Mhm.
And, foxtrots and waltzes and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
So, it was only that the wedding, like I said, the wedding thing came to us, people asking us to play weddings. But this is how then the shift happened. We were like, "Cool, we'll go and do our thing at a wedding, fine." But then, like, you're faced with a room full of now, like, let's say Barry and his missus, right, are there, and they love the band,
Yeah.
but they're the only 2. Everyone else is their
Yeah.
friends and family who wanna have a jive and a waltz and, hear some status quo, and we are completely ill-equipped to do that because we none of that's
Yeah.
in our set.
Mm.
We did a couple of weddings and died on our ass. I was like, "This
Mhm.
is not happening again." we get asked to do a wedding, we need to have the ammunition to be able to deal with whatever
Yeah.
situation comes up. So we went away and we kind of said, right, let's learn some jives, let's learn a couple of waltzes, let's learn some real crowd friendly stuff. And we kind of just started to blend that, our style, with the more traditional wedding band thing. We still were doing a lot of venues, so that was fun. We'll have all our venue kind of material that we would play. But we just slowly built the sort of our ability to be able to play a wedding, and to be able to be comfortable in that situation and not feel like, oh lads, what are we going to do?
Hmm.
So it was kind of like, right, well, if we're going to be doing more of these, let's do them, and let's do them right. And that kind of led on to how the band is now, that we're 80% weddings probably, and 20%
Yeah.
venues. And but we're comfortable in both still. We know that, like, you put us in a room with a crowd of people, we'll have a quick suss them out quickly, and we'll be able to entertain them in some way. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how we've ended up as we are now.
100%. Well, I was at a wedding that Philip, for anyone listening, I was at a wedding that Philip played at a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago, actually, maybe a month ago now at this stage. One of my best mates, actually one of the lads that was one of my groomsmen at my wedding, and I was in a band with for years. He was getting married and had Philip and the boys from Blue Moose, and I am not one for dancing, nor am I one for carrying on. Usually, if there's any sort of drinking to be done, that's what I'm at. But my Jesus, I'd say I lost more weight that night than I ever have in any other sort of hit training or weights or anything along those lines, just from leaping about like a lunatic to what the boys were doing. And that sort of leads me into my next question is that or my next point, I should say, is that I have recently just given up doing weddings because of that exact thing that you're saying is that yeah, you'll have some people there that they'll go and see Barry Malone's and they love what he's doing, and that's great. And the people that book you, they're gonna love you because that's exactly what they want. But their man and dad mightn't enjoy that, or their granny and granddad mightn't enjoy that, and all their cousins and aunties and all their friends and all that might have might not like it at all, and you're dying you're dying of death up there, and there's nothing you can do about it. You,
You're just like,
it's misery. It's the fucking worst thing in the world. It's absolutely horrendous, and I was sick to death of putting myself through that. So you're saying that you went away and you sort of got your act together, and now you're able to go into a room and sort of suss the place out.
yeah,
Yous boys didn't miss a beat the entire night that I saw you. Do you do your set list there on the night, or do you have like a kind of a bank of like 10 different set lists for this is one for an older crowd, this is one for a younger crowd, blah 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 blah.
it's kind of like that. What we have is, we basically have this, Tony, the lead singer. He has this app on his phone, on his iPad. That's our master set list. It's like all 170 odd songs or whatever we have in our repertoire.
Right.
And he can group them into set lists. He can kind of go, here's the venue set suitable stuff, and he can condense that down and just pick from that. So as
Yeah.
the night goes on, we kind of know, right, we're going to start with this one, right? We know
Yeah.
that's as much as we know, really.
Okay.
So we know we know what the first song is going to be, and from that one, we'll kind of try and suss the crowd and see what they want, what they're going to be into next. So as the
Okay.
night goes on, he'll be singing, and he'll be engaging the crowd, and then he'll be going through that list and go, right, I think this one will work next, and he'll hit it, and then we can see it'll come up on his iPad in big writing. We can see the name of the next song, so we now go, okay, Walk of Life is next. Cool, we can see that. Get yourself ready. I can change patches on whatever sound I need to pull up,
Yeah.
whatever sound I need. The keyboard player can be ready to like jump to that sound, and then so there's no delay in between songs. There's no like, you all ready, lads? Yeah, yeah, you ready to go?
Yeah.
There's like, the drummer can count in the next song straight away. So
Okay.
it means we can basically start and not stop playing until the end of the night if we want.
Yeah.
Obviously, but we do kind of try and give people breaks after, like, if they've been dancing solid for like 45 minutes, you're like, right, folks, take a second there, get yourselves a drink.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a slow song next if anyone wants to have a slow dance. But like, we could just keep going, never stop, like, without for the whole 2 hours or whatever happens to be.
Yeah.
And that's what we're reading the crowd as the night goes on. And sometimes, like, Tony will pull up a thing, and I'll be like, oh man, no, do this other one, or like, let's try this other one, might be better. And he go, oh, actually, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And so there's a bit of that. Like, there's flexibility there. We don't
Yeah.
stick set a straight up like set list, as
Yeah.
in the true sense of the term set list. It's not set. It's a list, but it could be anything.
Yeah.
So
Okay. No, that's cool. No, because that really interested me because I just thought you were just so tight. I was like, there's no way that they're because we do everything on the fly. Like myself and my bandmate, whenever we played weddings, we have a wedding set list of songs that we know what we're going to play. Like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? We play however many 100 and odd songs, same as yourselves. You know yourself. But we're disasters for playing a song. I'm like, right, what do you want to do next? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know. What do you want to do next? And it's
Yeah. That's
and
one of
that even those like maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 up to 10 seconds sometimes can be an eternity when
oh
you're
yeah.
trying to figure it
People
out.
walk off the dance floor, it's very hard to get them back onto it.
And they go instantly, like
Yeah.
instantly, as soon as yeah. So it's
They hear something they don't like, they're just like, nah, going to the bar. So
exactly.
you're really trying to, is like, because with a wedding, I suppose it's different to a say a pub or a club gig. You get them up for the first dance, like, 'cause the couple have their first dance. You kind of have them all there, and you're like, right, and our job now is to try and keep as many of these people up on their feet for
Yeah,
the night as we can. Because as
yeah,
soon as they sit down, they're probably gone. We're probably
yeah,
lost them. And so
yeah,
that's the battle with a wedding. It's like it is different. Like if you're in a nightclub, people are there to dance. They're just going to dance anyway. So it's just
yeah.
a different vibe.
Have you ever done a wedding where after the first dance, people just sat down and stayed there?
Yeah, probably. I think so. We've definitely had nights where we've maybe not like for the whole night, but you've played one full song with nobody on the dance floor, and that is it's crippling. They're like,
It is.
but at this point, we have the confidence to go. I know it's not us. I know it's
Yeah,
not us. It's the crowd.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes crowds are just they're no crack. It's just the way it is sometimes. Um, and I don't buy that whole the customer's always right thing. It's like, no, it's not that we know it's not us. It's like it's there.
yeah,
Sometimes it's just whatever way the demographic of the rooms broke down. We found actually a lot of time recently, weddings sometimes are the first time a lot of people have seen each other in a long time.
yeah.
And they just want to catch up. They want to sit down, have chats with people, catch up. And the band is, if anything, is just like an annoyance. It's like, would you ever shut up kind of thing.
I,
We're trying to catch up here. We haven't seen each other in 2 years. So a bit
yeah,
of that, sometimes you're fighting against that. But then at other times it's like bride's family and groom's family don't know each other at all. Never met before. There's no
yeah,
mingling going on. They're just in their little pockets. You have a few people at the bar, a few people out smoking, and it's just very hard to get people up and dancing. So it can be a miserable time sometimes, but for the most part, we're lucky. We generally we're able to get them on the floor and keep them or keep as many of them there as we can.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, you definitely are, and you definitely know how to read the room. And I suppose that's what it comes down to. As long as you can read the room, like
Yeah,
like what you're saying, my sort of idea of wedding bands was always maybe 1 or 2 boys with a keyboard and a drum machine, and you're kind of
yeah,
just
yeah,
like, and it's not saying what you were saying that like. And maybe it is art, maybe it does come from a place of arrogance, maybe it just comes from a place of being very self-aware. But it's like, I could fucking do that. I can do that 10 times fucking better than you're doing it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
them whores have the place up absolutely rocking to do you know
yeah.
what I mean? You're like, what's fucking wrong with you?
I know. Yeah,
Um, but no, never mind. But anyway, so I know we're going off on a rant here now. People are going to think that I'm an absolute clown. But anyway, um, let's talk about the actual nuts and bolts then
yeah,
of running a very successful wedding band. So, or wedding slash function band, because it's not just weddings that you do, of
sure.
course. So for anybody out there that is maybe they're either wanting to start a wedding band or a function band, maybe they're already in a wedding and function band, but they're struggling to actually transition out of their 9 to 5 into the full-time musician thing, and they don't know how to make it their full thing. They don't know how to rely on it. Have you got any advice or anything along those lines that you could give to someone? What's the
It's
first thing you would do?
it's very tough starting a new band. Really
Mhm.
is. I've kind of in a way I've only ever formed 2 bands. My school band when I was in
Yeah,
in secondary school, and that band that I joined out of the paper.
yeah,
Because any other gig I've ever gotten has been like someone's leaving, would you come in, or like we need a guitar player. So starting a band from scratch, I don't have much advice to give. I know it's tough, especially if
yeah.
you're going want to go down the wedding band route, because you have to really think long term, because generally someone books a wedding, it's 12, 18, 24 months out.
Mhm,
So like you form your wedding band tomorrow, possibly you're not going to have a gig for almost over a year. Your first
mhm.
gig might not be for over a year. So then you're going to have to go, right, well, we have to get out there. People have to see us. Um, so you can do the things of like filming a good promo, You know, like getting into a studio, record some songs, video yourselves, do some pub gigs if you can get them. Again, try and get people, try and, you just have to get known. Like, again, we were lucky. People knew who we were before they ever, were looking to book us for a wedding.
Mm.
Um, so they knew it, they're after. But like, if you're a new band, you're just like, boop, you're a drop in the ocean of all the other like thousands of wedding bands that are out there. And the wedding
Yeah.
market in Ireland is massive. I remember hearing a number, and I don't, this might be wrong or might be outdated, but it was like something like 16,000 weddings happen in Ireland every year.
Jesus.
So there's 16,000. Now, obviously, not all of them are going to be full on big hotel ballroom type ones, but like,
Yeah.
that's potentially, there's 15,000 gigs going there, that kind of way.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
there's a lot of pie to get a slice of. But there's a lot of bands, and they're all kind of, most of them are going for those gigs. And now, obviously, different people have different budgets, and if they're looking, if you're trying to keep everything on a shoestring, maybe you will just get those couple of lads, the local lads that the hotel recommend, with their little Ketron keyboard and and they're gonna, they're happy with that.
Yeah.
They're on a budget. But like, some people, like, the big thing that they want for their night is the band, and they want a show. And
Yeah.
that's when bands like ourselves, that we get the call for those ones. They're like, we really want this to be the focus of the night, is the band coming on.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, some people just want a little bit of background music, and it's not really their thing. It's just, there's horses for courses. But if
Yeah.
you're forming a new band, I would sort of take the approach of throw as much shit at the wall as you can. Kind of do different gigs, get as many different gigs as you can. And if you're not even just a band, but if you're just a musician, do the 2-piece acoustic gigs, get a stomp box, do some of that. Try and get, if someone go, oh, we're stuck for a guitar player or a bass player, it's like, jump in. You don't know who you're going to get to know by
Yeah.
doing those things. That oftentimes can lead to, bigger and better things down the line, if you're just be a little bit willing to take a chance on, jumping in on a gig that you're maybe not that comfortable on, or you don't know the lads, but you don't know them till you know them. So,
100%.
I've filled in with other bands, like, over the years, who I never met before, and literally just like, we need a guitar player, and you meet them somewhere and you jump in the van, and sure, by the time you're coming home, you're like, these are my best friends. You know, it's,
Yeah.
you just don't know. Like, so I would say, do as much as you can. Do everything there's going. Like, don't close yourself off to any one thing. The wedding market is it's there's a kind of, there has to be this, like, but bands feel they have to have this prestige, when people are looking at their website, and you're like, the best wedding band in Ireland. It's all this kind of, it needs to be slick, and like, they might
Yeah.
never have played a gig together, but like, they feel like they have to put across this this persona of, like,
Yeah.
we're the best.
Yeah.
The best band you've ever seen in your life. And it's kind of, everyone's playing that game, and it annoys me. I kind of
Yeah. I
go,
can imagine.
because again, you become like everybody else. So,
Yeah.
that's another piece of advice I would try and go, is like, don't be afraid to stand out a little. Don't be afraid to be yourself, and maybe, like, do something a little bit different, because there's so many people doing the same stuff all the time. Like, I
Yeah.
do, I do a gig in Galway City every week, myself and a piano player, and people come in and they ask for typical songs, and I just say no. I say no.
Yeah.
I just go, no. There's at least 10 other people playing tonight that will play that song, or that will play that song anyway. And I was like, I'm just not going to be another one of them. So sorry, I'm not doing it.
No. Yeah. What? So
And that's my attitude with that gig. I was like, no, I'm not going to just kowtow and do the same stuff that everybody else is doing, because that's how we've gotten to where we are. Because everyone's like, well, you have to play this and you have to play that. I was like, you don't have to play anything. My motto used to always be, uh, again, I'm not trying to make myself sound like some wise old sage, but years ago, I realized this doing gigs. It's not what you play; it's how you play it, and how
yes.
you deliver it to the crowd, and the
Yep.
energy that you put into it. You can play literally any song,
Yep.
and I think if you do it well, and you have a bit of conviction, and like, you look like you're having fun and you're enjoying the song, people will get it.
Yep. Absolutely.
And you're all
I
drunk in Egypt, little bit of Mr. Brightside,
yeah.
and then you go, oh,
No.
it's fine.
fucking won't. I do get the most crack out of telling people that no, I won't play Mr. Brightside. No, I won't play fucking Wagon Wheel.
Yeah,
Or no, I've already played Galway Girl 10 times. I'm not playing it for you again. And
yeah.
people love that. People love that. I think that's the best advice ever.
But that
Is
comes with
just
confidence, sure. I'm sure you've developed over the years of doing gigs and being in pubs,
yeah,
and like you learn how to sort of say no, but in a funny, nice way.
yeah. In a funny,
So,
nice way, that means you're absolutely under no circumstances going to play that song
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it's not worth your sanity to play it a
No,
million for the millionth time.
yeah. I remember hearing someone
Um,
say years ago, you know, being asked to play American Pie, and I love
all
this
right.
answer, and I've given it on gigs since, and they said, Life is too short to learn or play American Pie." I was like,
That's a fact.
yeah.
That's an
Like,
absolute
I'm
fact.
not
I don't
learning
know
that. I'm
American
not.
Pie.
There's too many words. It's too long. It's too boring. It doesn't go anywhere. No.
Exactly. Yeah, fair play. I'm going to use that. That's class.
Yeah.
Because I get asked for that, not very often, but often enough. It's like, oh, and then it's the usual. Oh, you must know American Pie. How do you not know American Pie? Oh, it's because I'm shite, Jim. That's why I'm pure shite. I've been playing for 2.5
Yeah.
hours, but because I don't know your song, I'm completely useless. Do you know what I mean?
I am always baffled when people go, "What do you mean you don't know that song?" I'm like, I don't know it.
Don't know it.
Do you know how to speak Chinese? No.
What do you mean you
Speak
don't know?
Chinese. What do you mean you don't know how to speak Chinese? Like, I don't know that song. And then they might ask again 20 minutes later, and I was like, I still don't
Yeah.
know it. I didn't know it when you
Or,
asked me last time, and I still don't know it. And I'm not
aye,
going to know it when you ask me the next time.
or the great one is, here, listen to it. This is it. Here,
Yeah.
listen to it. You must
Well,
know it.
the,
Oh,
the,
yeah, that's how it works. Yeah.
the
I'll
next
just
one there,
download it into my hands here now and I'll know how to play it.
yeah. I mean, if I have an idea of a song and I can pull the words up, I'll give it a go. But like, some of them
Yeah.
are like, I don't know it. I never heard it before.
Yeah,
But like,
I know. Oh, I love that.
next, the
I'm so
next
glad
step
you.
up, the next step punters make then, which this is where I start to kind of go not so nice, and I'm gonna get annoyed at you now. Is they go, well, I play it, or I get up and sing it. I'm like,
No, you won't.
that's not. We're not here for that. That's not what's
Yeah,
happening. This is not
yeah,
karaoke. Karaoke's
yeah.
tomorrow. Come back tomorrow.
I do often say it's not karaoke, it's barioke. So fuck off. Yeah,
Very good.
no, there you
Very
go.
good.
So if you can make something out of filioque, I don't know.
No, I'm not even gonna
I
try.
don't know.
You,
Anyway, it
I
doesn't
think
matter. Yeah,
you've coined the market on that one now, so we'll leave it
I
to you.
definitely have. I definitely have. So that's for people starting out with wedding. We sort of went off on a
Yeah,
tangent there, but that's great.
I probably
Starting
glossed.
off on wedding bands.
I probably glossed over a lot of like factors of like, you know, getting gear, buying a PA, you know, lights, backdrops, all that stuff. Like you need to if you're really serious about it, you have to invest in all that stuff. So you have to
Aye.
be willing to put yourself into debt, probably buy yourself a van and a PA, and or at least, you know, if you have cars big enough to
Yeah.
break gear between you. But like if you want to play to a ballroom, a hotel ballroom, you're going to need a decently sized PA, and they're not
Hmm.
cheap, you know,
No, no,
and cheap ones are not good. So,
no.
uh, you know, you might buy a cheap PA and then you'll blow it after a couple of months, and then you'll be like, "Wow, we should have just bought a proper one in the first place."
Yeah.
There's that side of things that people don't even really kind of think about. Like, there's a lot of expense and investment goes into putting a band together, and you know, you've insurance, and you have to have public
Yeah.
liability, and you know, equipment insurance, and there's upkeep and maintenance for all that stuff. And like, it's, you know, there's lots of costs involved. So it's like, yeah, it's lovely romantic notion starting to form a band. And it's like, but you got to be aware of all of that side of stuff, and getting a
Yeah.
website, and you know, you can make a decent website for yourself nowadays for not too much money, but like, again, someone has to do it, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. So then, how do you then putting your grown up hat on, taking because you're so right. People often forget that as musicians, just because we're enjoying ourselves and we're having the crack, pretending to be rock stars for the night, doesn't mean that that's not a job the same as a fucking, I don't know, a milkman or a baker or something.
Yeah.
It all serves the same purpose one way or another. So putting the grown up hat on, how do you then, as say a 5-piece band, decide who is going to look into the PA system? How are we going to finance this? How are we going to get our public liability? Who's going to be the head person? Like, do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? How does all of that work?
Well, like every band has to have different structures that way.
Yeah,
For us, when I joined Blue Moose, there was three lads owned the band. They were the owners. So they owned the PA, they owned the van, they paid all that stuff. And we were just
yeah,
basically employees. And that's kind of still the way it is now. So basically, that guy there, he makes the final calls and stuff because he's the one paying for it, you know, ultimately. You know, so
yeah,
you know, so that's, that's one structure to have, like, where it's just like one person's the boss and they foot the bills and they hire musicians in to play. Now, that can work great and has worked for
Yeah.
lots of bands. The only problem is then if the other musicians don't feel kind of, and I'm not talking about financially invested, but like personally invested in the band, they're just going to jump onto the next gig that comes their way.
Yeah.
You have to sort of find that balance, find that fine line of like, yeah, you're an employee, but your input is welcome and your your advice and your opinions are valid. So
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
hard. That's a hard one to balance. Um, like luckily the way Blue Moose works is like Tony, the singer slash owner of the band, himself and another guy, they formed a band years ago. Like they've always been very open to, like, they want the musician's opinion. They're like, we're going out to get the best musicians we can for our band because we want your input. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't worry, when the van breaks down, we pay for it. You don't have to worry about that. That's so that
Yeah.
kind of that works great if you're like me and you're a flaky musician and you don't want to have to deal with van insurance and all that stuff. Like, so
Yeah.
that's one like that's worked for us well. Um, Other bands, like other people, maybe would prefer to have their finger more in what's going on behind
Mm.
the scenes. So that's something everyone has to figure out for themselves. Like if it's a four, let's take an example of like a four-piece band, and they're all going to be equal members. Well, then they all have to do equal work,
Yeah.
and
100%.
that's very hard to quantify what's equal work.
Yeah.
Like, if one lad's doing the bookings, and you're like, well, look, I'm doing the bookings because if we're all doing the bookings, then it's just going to be a mess, and we're going to be double booked, or we're going to miss things. And so, like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
doing the bookings, right? Cool. I'm going to do the website. Great, that's your job. And
Yeah.
someone else was like, well, I don't really know how to do any of that stuff, so what do I do?
Yeah.
Then the other lads are going to be looking at me going, you don't do a fucking tap in this band.
Yeah.
So that's tricky. That can be really, that can break up bands. That has
Mm.
broken up bands, I'm sure. So
Mm.
it's hard, like, to figure all that stuff out when you're starting out. Like, how's the dynamic going to work? Who's going to do what? You know,
Yeah.
and I'm sure
Yeah.
you've heard horror stories of like bands, where someone felt they were doing more work, so they were taking a little extra off the top for themselves. I'm sure
Yep.
everyone heard that. Like, and you hear that story, and you're just like, what an asshole!
Yeah. I
Like,
know.
there's no justification for that. If they were just
Yeah.
upfront about it, going, I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z extra thing. I'm going to take an extra 50 quid for myself a week to cover my phone bill or whatever. Everyone would be like, A1, man. Absolutely. That's a great idea.
Grand.
But
Yeah.
it's when they're doing it on the sly behind everyone's back, they're just like, you're a snake.
Yeah. I know. I know. Us musicians, we're quite fickle when it comes to
We
that
sure
sort of
are.
thing.
And
Um,
we bear grudges.
oh, we do. Yeah. Yeah. Ah, sure. Look at what can do. But that I think that's good, solid advice. It's like it's like you say, horse for courses. But each individual situation is going to be different. But hopefully, anyone that's listening, that's maybe at that stage where they're kind of maybe starting the band, they've gotten a bit of advice. Maybe they're kind of heading towards making it professional, and
Yeah.
they've gotten some advice on to kind of the best route to go
Well,
down.
if I can give one last piece of advice actually for that,
Please do.
it's so many, it's very hard to be a busy band and not a full-time band. Or you can be like, you kind of either have to make the leap and everyone's doing it full time. Whereas if you have like some members have jobs and they're like, well, I can't get away now on Friday evening until such a time because I'm working. And then it starts again, that imbalance starts to come in. Like, unless
Yeah.
everyone's in the same boat, it's very hard to get a band to be successful, or to be as successful as it could be if
Yeah.
everyone's not in the same sort of boat and wanting the same things. Whereas, like, some bands might be delighted to just do Saturday night or Friday and Saturday night. That's it. That's all we're gonna do. Don't want to travel too far. But
Yeah.
you have to kind of go, right, we're a part-time band and that's it. Whereas,
Mm.
like, you can't be a full-time band, but then be like putting all these like caveats on. Well, we won't play such a place, or we won't go this far, and we won't play Thursday nights now. And he's like, if you're either gonna do it full time
Yeah.
or part time,
Yeah.
there's kind of no middle ground, really.
No, there is no middle ground because also what happens is you'll and you probably noticed yourself, you'll burn out. You'll absolutely burn out
Yeah,
because if you're working a full time and then say for example on a Friday you're living in Eden Derry. I'm from Eden Derry in Offaly. Say you're living in Eden Derry and you've got a gig in fucking, I don't know, up in Ballybuffet in Donegal, or wherever Ballybuffet is. I think it's in
Mind
Donegal.
spin.
It's a handy spin. But if you're not finishing work until 5 o'clock, that's 5 hours of a drive, and you're not getting there till 10 o'clock. Sure,
That's not
do
gonna
you know what
work.
I mean? Half the night's over at that stage. So you kind of do need to be making, and even if you're working until lunchtime, you're still working the whole day. You're traveling 10 hours, and
Yeah,
it's just, yeah. So it is one of these, where you're right. I think it does have to be kind of all or nothing, or else
a little
there's,
bit. Yeah, or
yeah,
else you just resign yourself. It's like this is just going to be a part time thing. We're just going to do it for a little bit extra money and fun, and not take it too seriously. But you really can't. You can't half-ass it and expect to get the good gigs and get the big gigs, because you have to
exactly.
be willing to drive
Yeah,
to Dingle on a Monday or whatever it happens to be.
yeah,
Like people, like I tell people where I was the weekend, they're like, "You drove to all those places." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's the job."
yeah.
It's
No,
like,
that is the job. Yeah,
that's the
100%.
actual work. It's
Yeah,
the being there on time and being prepared. The actual playing the music part, that's easy. That's the fun bit.
yeah,
That's the bit I've always done anyway. I would do that for free. I would play
yeah,
music with my friends or for my own amusement for free. But it's
yeah,
you want me to turn up to such a place at such a time and know these songs. That's the work. That's what you're paying for. Like,
yeah.
you know,
100%.
um,
Where were you at the weekend? So go on.
oh man, I was all over the place. I'll probably have to go into my calendar now to remind myself. So I was playing Monday night did a wedding on Monday in, oh hell, where was it? It's gone out of my head. Okay, I'll wind back. So Wednesday I would have played in Galway City, because I do every Wednesday in Galway City.
Uh-huh.
Thursday I was down in Carlow.
Right. Not too far.
Friday I was in Tipperary. Saturday I
Okay.
was in Dundalk. Sunday I was in Dublin, and Monday I was in Cavan. And I went home every night.
Yeah. That is how
And
I'm
do you
trying
know
to
what? That's not a bad week. That's not a bad week. I had a much worse week there couple of weeks back, where I was in Clonakilty one night and Belmullet the next night. And that was like, oh,
Jesus.
that was hell. Like I totted it up actually. I was 22 hours in the car across 4 days.
I was gonna say that is, yeah, that's savage. Like that is savage. Like that, exactly. There's your work. That's
That's
your,
the
when
work.
people are like, "Oh, you just fucking play for 2 hours a night and it's grand." Do you fuck? That's just
Yeah, yeah.
driving. You
I
could
know.
probably, if you were 22 hours driving, you could probably add on at least another, what, 5 or 6 for set up and tear down at
Oh yeah, yeah.
least.
Of course, yeah, because you have like it takes us say between half an hour and 45 minutes to set up, depending on the room and depending on how far away the stage is from the door. And then
Yeah,
you've got the same again at the end. So that's like, that's another 90 minutes every day of the work,
yeah, yeah,
and then of course hanging around. I know it doesn't sound hard, but man, it's killer. Sometimes you're like, you've driven 3.5 hours to a place, and now you're told, well, they're only on speeches now, so can you wait there? And like, you're sitting around going, fucking sitting, waiting,
yeah,
bored.
yeah. And
That's
you're
hard.
probably,
That could be hard. And you're like,
yeah,
I could be at home. I could have been at home for this extra hour, but
yeah.
no, I'm
I
here
know.
waiting. So you decided to blab on for an extra hour on your speeches.
Yeah, and you're probably full to the gills of
But again,
coffee from driving down.
that's the work. That's
Yeah.
that's the kind of that's why we get paid the big bucks, as they say.
That's exactly it. So yeah, people just don't get that, and people are never going to get that, no
They
matter how
don't,
many
unless
of us
they've done
harp
it.
on about it.
We actually, well, here's something I could be plugging, I suppose. We filmed a little kind of behind the scenes video to show some of that. So I don't know when it's going to come out, but it's going to be kind of a semi promo slash like a fly on the wall documentary.
Oh,
So
cool.
we did a bit of filming. Actually, I think some of that happened at that
I
wedding you
think
were
that
at.
when I was there, yeah, I saw him.
Yeah,
He was cutting about with the camera when your man was knocking around with the
yeah.
sax.
'Cause we had to clear it obviously with the bride and groom. We have a cameraman coming tonight. Is it okay if he films? Like, is
Yeah,
there any issue? Yeah, so you probably saw him going around with the big camera, like
I
around this.
did. Yeah.
He was filming, like, funny enough, here's a behind the scenes thing. The van sprung a leak that night, and they only
No
barely
way.
got to the hotel, and we didn't say anything to anyone. We had the AA were out working on the van while we were playing.
No way.
Yeah, and you were there and you were dancing away and you never knew.
There you go. Never knew.
Yeah.
Imagine that. So what's the
So
story with the documentary then? I'm really interested to
it's
know all
just
that. I
kind of
totally forgot that.
again trying to do something a little bit different, like like promotional material for the band, but that's
Yeah.
not the usual, you know, a well lit studio room and everyone's miming to a pre-recorded backing track. Like we're like, that's been done a million times. We have no interest in that. It's like,
Yeah.
how about you see like a day in the life of us and what we actually do? And then
Love.
obviously there's this footage of us playing and the crowd and everyone having a good time, because that's the end product, and that's the bit that that's the only bit that most people see. It was
Yeah.
like, let's show you all the other stuff, because It's it's relevant.
Class. I'm buzzing to see that documentary because I have a feeling I'll be in it.
You probably will
Like,
be actually in the background dancing, yeah.
yeah, laughing, yeah, because we were all up on stage at one stage, and it was like it was like hundreds of us. I had totally forgotten that that even happened. That's class. That's pure class. I'm buzzing with that.
Yeah. So
Um,
hopefully that people will get a little bit of a kick out of that because it's just something different.
it is. It is. It definitely is. And then it's like like you were saying, it's like a day in the life.
Yeah.
And like, are you looking for a return? Are you looking to use that to promote yourself, or are
Yeah,
you
well,
just looking at it as? Do you know what I mean?
it's fresh promotional material for us. So it's something new and
Yeah,
recent. We haven't done I don't think we've done a proper like kind of promo video in a few years now. We did
yeah,
we did a couple of again we did something again a little different where instead of doing like a showcase in a ballroom for 10 couples to come and sit down and drink coffee and watch us and go, and now here's a set of waltzes. And this is what we'll do in this part of the night. We don't
yeah,
like doing those. They're very cold and they're very sterile.
yeah,
We get booked for weddings more so from our pub gigs and stuff, and the reputation that we have that way. But we did
yeah.
do a couple of where these live, like Facebook live showcases.
Hmm.
We did a couple of those. So we went to a good studio. We had a proper like AV engineer with multiple cameras, and it basically was like an hour long kind of live TV show of us in the room, and people could
Class.
ask questions. Um, it's probably a bit more common now, but we did our first one like 6 years ago or something like that when it was.
I did by any chance did you play the Friends theme song and you were playing a Squire Cabronita?
Oh, that was actually a pre-record setup that where
Okay.
we did have multiple cameras, but that was actually we were in Grouse Lodge Studios,
Grouse
really
Lodge.
famous.
I could not for the life of me because that's in Westmeath, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in West Media. It's just
Yeah,
near Moat.
near Moat. There you go. I was thinking Athlone. I was like, no, it's not Athlone, and I couldn't think of what it was
Yeah.
called. Grouse Lodge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
went in
yeah,
there for 2 days and we recorded like 5 different songs and we had 3 cameras and we
yeah,
did like now it was all recorded live,
yeah,
but we did multiple takes because the camera people were able to then go back and go, the best take or the best shot we got were from take 3, so can we use take 3 for the audio? So that
yeah,
like that is all live audio. And we spent 2 days, we did multiple passes of every track and then that was a kind of a more standard promo video thing. The
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
Facebook Live showcases were like interactive. People could go, "Can you play such a song? Will you play
yeah.
this?" And we could answer questions on the night. So that I don't know were we the first ever wedding band in Ireland to do that, but we're definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And not many people have done it since, and I don't know why. Because it's
I
like
know
it's
'cause
actually it's
so
great
simple to
because
do.
you have the setup, you're there for your hour of a showcase. You have to be confident that like if someone asks you, "Can you play such a song?" You'll play it, and you're not expecting it to be perfect, but it's like
Yeah.
on the night, nothing's perfect. That's the kind of way. That's
No.
one thing that bugs me about the traditional sort of mime to a pre-recorded backing track videos that you see in a lot of bands do. It's like
Mm.
you've added in lots of extra instruments and extra vocals, and that's not what you sound like. And I
Mhm.
think you're kind of, unfortunately, you're misrepresenting your band. And
Yep.
maybe it's going to look great, and you're going to get some bookings out of it. But then people on the night, no,
Yeah.
they probably have to be very fussy and discerning to be like, that's not what that sounded like on your promotional video. But it's
Aye.
just, I kind of go, why do that? Just like show people what they're going to get. Don't
Yep.
glitz it up or try and overly polish it past the point of what you can actually deliver. It's the way I look
Yeah.
at it. It's a bit like the
100%.
the beautiful burger on the picture above the counter in the chipper, and then you get this soggy, floppy thing in a box. And you're like, that's what's on the picture.
Aye.
Like, so we try and be honest with our promotion.
Yeah, I just you unlocked the memory there for me. It had nothing to do with music of a fella in the chipper in Edenderry, and he asked for a burger and got given the burger about 10 seconds later. And he was like, "I'm not fucking eating that." Sorry.
That's
Oh, dude, it was a Sunday night, and we were just after playing, and he turned around and he says, "Here, I'm not eating that. Do you want that?" And I was like, "Great, grand." So I got a free burger because your man was too fussy, and he just walked out. It was anyway. That was
It's like I think you know what it's the same for any product. If you see a picture or something and it arrives in the post, like if it's from AliExpress or whatever, you're like, this is not what I saw on the website.
exactly
You're
what I
annoyed.
ordered versus what I got.
Yeah, I'd be annoyed. So like we try and represent ourselves as honestly as we can with promotional material.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, from someone who has experienced what you're selling and what you're delivering, very, very good job, I think, anyway.
Thank you.
From the stuff that I've seen of you, I as I said, anyone that doesn't know Blue Moose in Ireland, that's in the music scene, like, what's your problem? Sort yourself out. Do you know what I mean? And from what I've seen of you over the years, that was my first time seeing you last month, and you're exactly as good, or you're just as good as you make yourselves out to be, or as you're made out to be. So you're hitting the nail on the head there, is what I'm trying to say, in a very
Well,
roundabout and awkward way.
mission
But
mission accomplished then.
yeah, mission accomplished. But you've not just done, you also done a radio show at one stage, didn't you?
Yes. So during lockdown,
Yeah,
when I had no gigs and nowhere to go and couldn't go anywhere,
yeah.
the there's a local radio station here. They're called Loughrea Community Radio, and they were actually just getting going before COVID started. And so when lockdown happened, the station kind of had to all go remote, and so people were doing their shows and stuff from there. Like the idea was to have a proper radio studio, which they have now. But so they were just getting going, and the pandemic hit. It kind of locked down. People then started doing their radio shows from home. So I got roped in, or asked would I be interested in doing a music show. I was like, I will, but it has to be metal. I was like,
Cool.
I'll do it, but it has to be a metal show. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's the only thing I'm interested in doing. I'm not interested in doing any kind of top 40 music show. Like I'll do
yeah.
a metal specific radio show. And they were like, "Oh, great, absolutely, happy days." Because the channel, like the station, had like gardening shows and book shows, and it had a Christian show, and it had
Wow.
there was like a world music show. There was pop. There was like top 40. There was country. It's kind because it's a community station. It was like whatever anyone was interested in, you can do a show about that. Like now they have a full on studio, proper radio gear. They're broadcasting on the FM airwaves
Class.
within the area. But at the time when I joined on, it was all just online.
Yeah,
So I started doing the show. I had to learn how to do, like, there was a bit of learning and watching Zoom videos of like, okay, this is what you do, and you have to open this file, and because they're like, we were using this internet broadcasting software, and I had a mic, but it wasn't great, so I got myself a better mic, and I got
yeah.
myself one of these nice boom arm things,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and I was doing it every Saturday night from 8 till 10, and I
Class.
did it for like a year and a half,
Oh,
every
brilliant.
week because wait, no, I had no gigs and couldn't go anywhere,
Yeah,
and I loved doing it. I really enjoyed it. As I started to, like, once things opened back up again, then I was like, lads, I can't do Saturday because now I'll be back out at a gig, so I kind of
yeah,
had to bow out eventually, but got me back listening to music as a fan, which is something I hadn't done in years.
yeah,
I and I'm sure you've gone through periods like this as well, where music is your job. You listen to stuff if you have to learn it for a gig, or
yeah, yeah,
you kind of fall out of the love of listening to music just as for enjoyment and as
yeah,
a fan. And it really, I felt like a teenager again. I was listening to metal all the time, which is what I used to do then.
yeah,
Finding new bands, and I was like, there's so much new music being made all the
yeah,
time in every genre.
yeah,
But I was amazed at how much stuff was kind of like, so every week I was, be able to play 4 or 5 new tracks from new releases, and I was doing different things. Like I would pick a classic album, like say I like take Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden, and I would take out my favorite tracks out of that or something like that.
yeah,
And people could request in, there was a chat box and stuff, so that people could actually ask for songs. And I loved when people were listening, like that I knew they were listening and they were sending in requests, because that again, instead of me just sitting here in this room like staring at the monitor screen, I was like, I felt like
yeah,
there was people there.
yeah,
So it was great, and look, it kept me. It was something as well to sort of anchor the week around, kind of going, right,
yeah,
Saturday night, 8 o'clock, I'm on the radio. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was great, and got friendly with all the other presenters remotely.
yeah,
We'd have like meetings and stuff, and got like, and then of course when things opened up again, we were able to meet in person, and we're like, it's really nice to meet you in real life.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and it was, yeah, it was great. It was a brilliant outlet for me during that time.
That's great. It's such a unique thing, because all the rest of us musicians, I'm sure you did it yourself, and I felt exactly the same about this. Was that we used to do a live stream on Facebook on Friday night. I done Friday. My band off the we play in an Irish pub here in Aberdeen called Malone's. So Malone's let us use the Facebook page. So we were broadcasting on a
Oh,
Friday night.
great.
I used to do Friday. Callum used to do Saturday, and like you say, you'd anchor your whole week, and you'd think, right, I'm going to learn 3 or 4 songs now for for Friday night. It's going to be fucking class. And then when people are watching and asking, and like, oh, and they'll check in from the week before. Oh, did you learn such and such? And like, yes, I did. And then they'll send you a few quid on PayPal, and it was great. Like
Yeah.
it was great. It was better to be able to go and do it in real life, obviously enough.
Oh,
But then
100%.
it was definitely something to keep us ticking. But the radio program, I love that. You think you'd ever get back into doing something like that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it would depend. I mean, like maybe more of a podcast style thing where you like talk about music and play a little bit might be something
Oh,
I'd
you
be
know.
into doing if I could find a good podcast companion to do it with, maybe, that kind of thing.
Well, there you go.
Since podcast, like I listen to more podcasts nowadays than anything else.
Yeah,
I don't even put on the TV most of the time during the day. Like if I'm knocking around making coffee in the house, I stick on podcasts. I listen to podcasts.
yeah,
Um, so I might do maybe something like that. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Um, I mean, I could chat for hours about any topic I'm interested in. So
yeah.
might be something to do.
There you
But
go. I think an awful lot of people would love to know what your take on Number of the Beast is, for starters. Anyway, there you go. You could do your album of the week with Philip Joyce. It doesn't even need
uh,
to be like that long. Do you know what I mean? It could be
yeah, yeah,
your
yeah.
classic album.
You could do snippets of the songs, or it's like this bit of this song is like this is why this bit's cool or whatever. Um,
There you go.
yeah, maybe
There you go.
something to think about.
It's definitely something to
I'm
think about.
lazy though. Like I'm gigging all the time. So it's like that's this time. You kind of start thinking about, oh, I gotta sit down at the computer now and edit, record
Yeah,
the podcast and be like,
yeah.
no,
Do you
look,
ever?
and probably should because it'd be something again. It's just another outlet, another avenue of things to do.
Yeah. Yeah, but then unless until you get into a flow of it, especially with the podcast, and I'm speaking 100% from experience here. Podcasting is now easy for me, but that's because I'm now 45. I'm nearly a year into doing it, and
Yeah.
I've got a good flow of like I've got a good workflow for editing that
Yes.
I can edit this and I can do something else while I'm at it. So it's not as if I need to be like, right,
Yeah. It's not a huge time
well,
suck. Like,
it's
and
no, it's not. And I like you say, I love it. I love chatting to all you guys.
yeah,
It's if not my favorite thing to do, it is my favorite thing to do. I don't even know what that even means. I'm getting better at the podcast. As you can see, I'm still trying to learn how to actually speak and communicate
sure.
effectively. But like, I love podcasting. So yeah, Jesus, listen, we'll have a chat. We'll certainly keep in
We'll
touch
go
and.
offline about that.
Yeah, because
No, I
that'd
mean,
be epic. Right?
it could be fun, like to get from friends of mine for fellow music fans and friends that I have, and we go right. Let's chat about your favorite album for 40 minutes, or whatever. Could be something to do.
I think that'd be great. I
Yeah,
think that'd be absolutely fantastic.
I'm sure there's 10,000 podcasts doing exactly that already, but why
So
not? Why
what?
not look?
But there's no Philip Joyce's classic album music hour with his special guest this week. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
There just isn't. Not yet, anyway. Not yet.
Not yet.
Watch this space is right. Before we before we jump into a quick fire round and start rounding things up, what is next for you? Have you got any big plans? Obviously, you said you have this. Obviously, you said that you have this documentary style promo video. You're now going to go away and plan world domination through podcasting. Is there anything else that you're working on, or are you just are you happy enough just ticking away, or what's the crack?
I'm happy just doing what I'm doing. I like people. I hate getting asked that question. Is like, oh, would you not prefer to be doing something else, or did you ever think why aren't you famous? You get this question, like, which is always weird. It's like, why aren't you famous, or like, why aren't you bigger than you are? And I'm like, man, I'm living the dream. I really am. I'm 20 years as a professional musician, paying
Yeah,
all my bills. You know, living the life that I've chosen.
yeah.
That's success to me.
Oh, 100%.
So I mean, if something else comes along or some, bigger, better thing comes along, great. But I'm happy as anything doing what I'm doing. I love what I do. Uh,
Yeah,
I like variety. So I do enjoy the fact that, like, say the band has pub gigs and wedding gigs, and we, get the odd kind of festival or things like that. And like, we do a trip over to Switzerland once a year to play in an Irish pub over there. And that's something to really
cool.
look forward to. We get treated really well, and it's fun, and it's kind of like a band holiday, but we're working as well. Things
Yeah,
like that. Like, you have those things to look forward to. I enjoy doing my acoustic gig. I can play whatever I want. Um, and it kind of keeps that part of me satisfied as well. Like, if
yeah,
I go, I want to play a Nirvana song, I'll just play it. That's totally on me. I can do it. Or it's like, or I want to play this Billy Joel song. Cool. I can kind of go whichever direction. And that kind of, I need variety in my life.
yeah.
So like, but yet I'm not looking to like take on too much stuff either. So it's like,
No.
because I've done that in the past, and it's just like, I can't do all of these things. It's too much. So
Yeah.
I'm just happy out doing what I'm doing. Yeah. Kind of, luckily for me, I don't mind driving, and I don't mind seeing, Belmullet on the calendar going, it's a nice drive. you
Yeah.
know, the scenery's lovely. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't mind. I've never minded that aspect of it. Some people hate the traveling. I'm
Yeah.
lucky in that I don't have a day job and I don't have kids, so I'm not like leaving them to go spend 3 hours in the car. Where I'm sure that gets difficult when you have kids and stuff, and you don't want to be away from
It
them. Like
does.
that changes things for people in a big
Definitely
way.
does. Yeah,
So
definitely does. I've got a little girl that's nearly 1.5, and
okay,
that was one of the biggest things that I hated about doing weddings, was because it's not even that I do weddings or I did weddings anywhere, or any events, any private events anywhere too far. Like the furthest we ever really went was like maybe 45 minutes, an hour, and an absolute push to. But it's that extra hour of driving, plus the extra half an hour, 40 minutes of setting up, plus then at the end of the night, and all that extra stuff that comes with doing those types of things, that does take you away from, well, it takes me away from my little girl, and everything that comes with that. And as opposed to just going to playing in Malone's, where I can literally, if I'm playing at 9:30, I can fall in the door if I want at 25 past,
yeah,
and be ready to go by 9:30, and then
sure,
fall back out the door 5 minutes once I'm done. Do you know what I mean? It's
absolutely.
so
I always say the
um
music business, or this is not for everyone. It really isn't.
no,
And some people get
no,
into it and quickly learn, oh no, this is not for me. So
yeah,
I'd always, give that warning. Uh, you know, it's not all glitz and glamour, and it's not all roses,
no,
and it's not all backstage antics and rock and roll, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's not that. There's a
no,
lot of there's a lot of time spent alone in the car, missing your family, missing people's birthdays, and missing other people's weddings while you're playing some randomer's wedding.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah,
that's a big thing.
yeah,
So it's like you have to be prepared for all that side of things. Otherwise, you just won't
yeah,
last. You'll do it for a while, and you'll be like, "Oh, I can't do this anymore." And that happens a
yeah.
lot of people, So,
And I think an awful lot of people need to know that that's okay as well. That's
oh,
perfectly
of
okay,
course,
just because,
100%.
do
I
you know
always
what I
say to
mean?
people, like,
100% okay.
it's like, if you don't like this, it's like the whole point of playing music for a living is that you enjoy it. If at
Yeah,
any point it stops being enjoyable, well, then you'd be better off doing something else, because you'd have more time to yourself, probably more money, and you wouldn't have
yep,
all the downsides of, you could then have music as a hobby, and keep it as something you enjoy doing for fun. Whereas, like, making
absolutely.
it your living, you really have to love it, because it's not a great job in a lot of ways.
In a lot, yeah, 100%, 100%. I think that's probably a good point to start heading towards a quick fire round. We'll wrap it up there then. So, a quick fire round. If this is your first time listening, this is literally just, I always call them icebreakers at the end, just to sort of end on a lighter note. And every time I say that, I always kind of think that the whole episode up until now must have been really dark and dingy. But anyway, take that whatever way you want. So, right. I always tend to go really overboard with these quick fire round questions. They're not quick fire round at all, but fuck it. It's my podcast. I can do what I want. So let's start off with it's a while since I've had an Irish person on. So let's have a couple of Irish themed quick fires. So Barry's or Lions?
Oh, Lions. Gold level
Oh,
Lions.
okay, right, Grant. Well, I thought I liked you, but anyway, that's fine. Um,
I'm more of a
okay,
coffee, to be fair. I'm
yeah,
more of
me
a coffee
too.
man,
Yeah,
but
me too. To be
if
fair,
it's tea, it has to be Lions gold blend.
well, I won't hold it against you. Teo or King?
Secret option number 3, hunky dories.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, which flavor? Like the buffalo flavor.
No, I'm this salt and vinegar or this cheese and onion. I'm a plain Jane when it comes to crisps, really.
I'm also the plain Jane, but I very seldom see salt and vinegar or cheese and onion hunky doors. It's
Oh,
always the
salt and vinegar
buffalo one.
hunky dories are.
Yeah, good man. Yeah, no, that's a good
What?
show.
Actually, well, do you know what? I should even. I'm gonna give a shout out to other. There's so many great Irish crisp companies now. I really love Kyo's. Kyo's crisps. Like Kyo's crisps, if you're listening,
Oh,
send me some crisps. 'Cause
yeah.
I eat a lot of your crisps.
Oh, there you go. Fair
Yeah.
play. Yeah. I don't know if I've come across Kyo's yet, but it's probably because it's
Oh,
only
well,
in
see, bro,
Ireland.
you
So
won't get them in Scotland. Yeah, you probably won't get them in
no,
Scotland. You'll have to get them when you're
fair
here.
enough. I'll have to get them when I'm home. Kimberly or Mikado?
Neither. Marshmallow is the devil, and I don't want anything to do with either of them.
For anybody who doesn't know what they are, they're biscuits in Ireland.
They're
Okay,
rank.
fair enough.
If you can't dip a biscuit in tea, it's not a biscuit, so they're gone.
Oh no, that's a fair. That's a fair. Where do you sit with a Jaffa cake then?
Oh, I do like a Jaffa cake, but it's a cake. It's
It
not a
is a
biscuit.
cake. And here, do you want to know? Actually, this was not in the running
Also, would
order
be
at
dipped in
all.
tea.
Which
Also, can't be dipped in tea.
it also can't be dipped in tea because the
But
chocolate
as a
melts. But like,
confectionery item, I'm a big fan of the Jaffa cake.
do you know that the chocolate is actually on the bottom of a Jaffa cake
Oh, okay.
because
Oh, they're
it's
they're
dipped?
dipped in chocolate.
Yeah,
They
and
never, they
that's the
never.
bottom.
I don't really care what orientation they come out of the box because they go in my gob so quick that you barely see them.
That's fucking brilliant.
Oh,
You'd
yeah,
be great on a podcast. See, that's phenomenal wording.
I'm a some man to fuck up a sleeve of Jaffa cakes. I tell you, they're on in 60 seconds, like the film.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Right, we're going to do one more question. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to leave it there. Right. So
Okay.
I love this question. This is my favorite question, and sometimes I'm made out to be an absolute gobshite and a clown, and sometimes it renders amazing answers. But we'll see how we do. What celebrity would you like to fight?
Oh my god! Wow,
Yeah, this
was
is
not
of all.
expecting that question at all.
It doesn't
Fight.
have to be someone. It doesn't have to be someone that you dislike. It could be someone that you like really respect,
Ooh, that I would fight them. Yeah, just to get to meet them
just to get to meet him.
and just to get to roll around on the floor all sweaty and half naked.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay, that could change things.
it could change things. Yeah, yeah.
uh, okay. Just because I love to punch him in the face, Michael O'Leary from Ryanair. I just
Oh,
he annoys,
really?
he annoys me, and he's so successful, and he's right half the time. He's
He is.
fucking annoying.
There's there's one that comes up with him and Ryan Tuberty on the late, and he was like, "Yeah, I wanted to take out the back 6 rows of seats, and I guarantee you, I'd sell the standing ones before any other seated ones." And he's 100% fucking
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
100%.
I know. Yeah,
100%.
I'd love to punch him in the face because he's a prick.
There you go, Michael O'Leary. Step out for belts. You've been called
Yeah,
out.
and look, I've given that man so much of my money over the years.
Oh, and you'll give him so much more of your money
Yeah.
as the years
Oh
go
yeah.
on. Before we finish up, where can people find you if they're looking for you online and they want to get in touch or they want to
Oh,
book Blue
I'll
Moose?
probably be on the M6 motorway somewhere. If they're ever looking for me, somewhere between Athenry and Dublin.
Yeah,
So my own personal website is philipjoycemusic.com. The band's Blue Moose. If you're looking to book Blue Moose, it's bluemoose.ie. And then, of course, I'm on Instagram as Philip Joyce Musician. I'm on YouTube as Philip Joyce Musician. I don't do an awful lot with my YouTube channel. I used to do a bit more, have some lessons and gear demos and, bits and pieces like that. If anyone wants to check out a bit of that stuff, that's Philip Joyce Musician on YouTube as well. And yeah, basically see you at a gig, hopefully. That's where I'd
class,
like to see people.
class. Philip, you're an absolute legend, so yeah, thanks a million for coming on today.
Very welcome, Barry. Thanks for having me. I was really chuffed to be asked. It's very cool to be chatting to you today. Thanks.